So, how do Republicans really feel about what's going on at DOGE, about Elon Musk? Because they will say one thing in public and do another thing in private, as we saw with Donald Trump in both 2016, 2020, and 2024. So, this article caught my eye. It's from the Bulwark, and it is Joe Perticone. And the article says the GOP says they love Elon. Privately, they're expressing concerns. Joe Perticone joins me now. Hi, Joe. How are you? Thanks for joining.
I'm doing great. How are you?
So, talk to me about this. Is this different than with Trump, where his supporters or consultants would say one thing in a green room during the election and then another when they got in front of cameras about? And are they doing the same thing with Elon Musk now? Is it different?
I think it's a little bit different and a bit more severe and a bit more craven because it's not really them saying on Fox or on Twitter that, they love what he's doing and then going back to their closed door meetings with each other and bashing him. Instead, it's them responding to constituents. So we got our hands on more than a dozen letters from people who reach out to their member of Congress or their senator, either by phone or email or whatever, being like, what are you doing? What is Elon doing? Is my data secure? And they sent these very formal letters, which are drafted by their staff, to basically say, we're monitoring this closely. We're very concerned. We don't know what's going to happen here. And that's them showing empathy with their constituents because they depend on these people for votes while doing something else in public because they don't want to piss off the boss, Donald Trump. So this is, I think, a bit more severe in that it's them saying one thing to their constituents and another to the general public or to the primary audience of the White House.
So, you think it's a little bit more insidious, you think?
Yeah,
Then,
definitely.
yeah. Um, is this more though? When I read some of the letters and some of the things you sent, I'm just wondering: is this more than a Susan Collins? Very strongly concerned, or like a strongly worded letter I'm going to send. Like, what does this actually accomplish by them sending out? And these are form letters, right?
Yeah, and it really just assures their constituents that like their data is safe or we're going to make sure that something bad doesn't happen. But it's actually an acknowledgement that there is concern about this among voters. If you look at some of the common thread between a lot of the people who sent these letters, they were Ben Klein in Virginia, Rob Whitman in Virginia. These guys have really huge constituencies that are federal workers where DOGE and all their activities are really unpopular. This is also a big thing for the biggest voting bloc, which are seniors. The baby boomer peak birth year, I think, was 1957, 58. So a lot of those folks are going to be filing for Social Security for the very first time this year. And so if there's financial uncertainty about this unelected billionaire rifling through their information or maybe even potentially disrupting how these Social Security payments get processed, that kind of financial uncertainty is a death sentence when it comes to midterm elections. And it's obvious that right away they're already worried about the ramifications of it.
What do you mean that right away they're already worried about it? What do
The
you mean
fact
by
that
that?
they're responding in this way to these constituents, and they know that like Elon Musk is doing what the MAGA right wanted, but this isn't really what any voter asked for. No voter asked to have their social security information and payment systems tinkered with by some guy who's not been confirmed by the Senate, whose data security practices are up in the air that are unchecked from any kind of oversight capability. So them acknowledging that, oh, this is a concern, we need to keep an eye on this. It shows the hypocrisy in the way they act publicly, but it also shows they're concerned that this could snowball into bad electoral consequences.
Yeah, so it's CYA. They're trying to cover their asses, right? By saying, well, at least we said that we were concerned. But look, what are these letters saying? No one voted for Elon Musk. Their constituents did not vote for Elon Musk or anyone who is not an elected official. What are they saying specifically in these letters?
So there's lots of the language like, we will keep an eye on this, we need to monitor this. Security is paramount concern. One of the letters from Senator Deb Fisher specifically mentioned Tom Krause, who's head of cloud software. There's questions about that being a conflict of interest. So there's, they're getting more specific, and this is just the first wave. And of the dozen or so letters that we reviewed, those are just the ones we got our hands on and verified. There could be a lot more from a lot more members of Congress.
Really? Has anybody outright said, any of the GOP lawmakers outright said Elon Musk should not have the influence or the power that he does?
Oh no, that'd be too much of a risk now, because they know that these letters can come out. But in terms of them showing this concern already, that's a big deal.
Well, it's interesting because usually, you remember the whole thing about FISA and warrants and the American people's personal information, that Republicans were, that it was their thing. Americans should not be exposed to all of these things, and now they have no concern at all about something similar happening with this DOGE department.
Yeah, and it's like I've been reporting on Capitol Hill for about a decade now, and a trend that I've noticed, especially in the Trump era, is that there's this real hypocrisy of, it used to be that like conservatism was a new precedent has been set and it's bad, therefore we should return to a previous higher standard. What we've seen with like the way they've abandoned security concerns here is they've seen lapses in security or questions about lapses in security, and they've said, well, now it's our turn. It's our turn to be bad. And that's quite a different tone, and it's really demonstrates where the party's gone.
Yeah, you said that no one has outright said that he shouldn't have this power. That's too risky. What do you mean by it's too risky?
Well, Donald Trump is the boss, and upsetting him. He hasn't gotten sick of Elon yet. But in terms of, pushing back against what the administration is doing, we've seen just in the confirmations of his cabinet is that there is a lot of risk in pushing back on anything this administration does. And right now, they're all in on this DOGE effort and what Musk is doing. If they eventually get sick of it, then that could change. And it likely will. That's usually what happens. Once Trump gets sick of someone, they have to come in and say, we always knew he was bad, or like, we always knew he was a bum. We got to get him out.
Yeah. But there's no, sign of any sort of fracture in the relationship with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, because you said yet.
Yeah, there's been some reporting, and there was even before the election, that Trump was kind of sick of him hanging around Mar-a-Lago the whole time. He was on the cover, Musk was, of Time magazine this week, and things like that can get under Trump's skin. We have yet to see if they're going to yet. But really, he can turn on someone immediately, just overnight, and whether that happens now or it happens in a year or 2 years, or it happens at all, we don't know. But past history shows that he does get sick of people. He does hate it when people take the spotlight, and Musk has certainly taken the spotlight in DC.
Well, there are like at least 465, I believe, billions of dollars worth of reasons why Donald Trump won't get sick of him, because Donald Trump likes money, and he likes his proximity to money. And folks have said also, Elon Musk likes his proximity to power. So it seems like a relationship that may be made in heaven, or could be made in hell. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely work well together because they both have these motives that exist outside of what we typically want from an elected official or an elected official's top aide. But again, I think that, they both have really big egos. And I think that's the area where they can really conflict with each other, especially with Trump.
Since you've been researching this, why do you think that Elon Musk's approval rating has dropped precipitously over the past couple of weeks, and Donald Trump's has really stayed the same? Is Donald Trump in some way making Elon Musk do his dirty work by firing people and restricting funds?
Yeah, but Elon Musk is leading the charge on all of this. He's the public face on all of this. The decisions are really coming from him, at least publicly. He's been the most vocal. He's doing his own rapid response by sitting on Twitter all day, which kind of makes you wonder, like, where's the actual work getting done? Uh, and whereas Trump just is kind of, he's signing his orders, he's doing his brief little press conferences on the fly, and that's another area where, like, if Musk takes the spotlight because he's constantly the focus. And I've noticed that too when I was outside the USAID building. Every Democrat mentioned Elon Musk. Not every single one mentioned Donald Trump. So you're starting to see a little bit of a strategy there too of Democrats maybe exploiting that rift. We'll see, but Elon Musk is a major focus, and we can tell from these letters he's a major focus of the constituents. They don't like the idea of somebody who they didn't vote for. Maybe some of these people voted for Donald Trump, but they didn't vote for Elon Musk, and it makes a lot of people nervous. And he didn't get confirmed by the Senate. His role is very undefined. So, we'll see.
You said you've covered the Hill for a decade, you said?
Yeah.
So when what are you hearing there from Democratic or Republican lawmakers? Are there any guardrails when it comes to what Donald Trump can do or Elon Musk can do? Because the Supreme Court has said as long as Donald Trump is acting in official capacity as president, then he can do what he wants. And if someone is doing something possibly illegal, I'm not saying that they are, but if they do, he can just pardon them. So where are the consequences? Are there any guardrails or people? Is there a concern there that Donald Trump can basically do and Elon Musk whatever the hell they want?
Yeah. Based on conversations I've had with Republicans, for example, with the USAID dismantling of that agency, there was no response really, other than like long time coming. And I talked to Steve Daines, senator from Montana, and he said, well, this is taxpayer money. We got to get it under control. And I asked, well, isn't Congress in charge of taxpayer money? And he just sort of laughed and went into the elevator. Same thing. I have a story coming out later
Well,
that
that's
is
supposed to
about,
be his job, right?
yeah,
And so
it's,
he doesn't
they,
care
they
that someone else is taking
yeah.
his job, doing what he's supposed to do.
And I have a story coming out later that's about the decision to cap grant money from the National Institutes of Health for administrative purposes. A lot of this affects children's hospitals and pediatric cancer centers. And I asked Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio about this, and because he has several of the grants going to his state are specifically for child pediatric cancer centers and children's hospitals. And he was just kind of like, well, we don't think that any money should be, other than this 15% limit, should be going to non-research costs. And it was just sort of strange that he would blanketly say that, oh, well, money for a pediatric cancer center has to go to research. Hospitals and research centers, they have office staff. They have people who run the show and make sure everything is smooth so that, the researchers can actually do their work. And he name checked pediatric cancer specifically as like, well, why are we funding all these things unrelated to the actual stuff going on in the lab when that's just one part of the equation of how this life-saving stuff gets done?
Several judges have said that they can't freeze the money, but it looks like the Trump administration is not paying attention to any of it. Have you heard? Are they releasing any of the money? What's happening there on the Hill? Is the money still frozen? Are they defying the orders of these judges?
So the judges said that they're still defying the orders on some of them, but again, like there's not really much of a consequence because the House majority, which is very thin, and the Senate majority, which is a bit stronger, they don't have any interest in pushing back on this. Or if they do, it's the Susan Collins types where they say, "I'm quite concerned," and then no action comes from it, or even using mechanisms that they have, like withholding votes for a nominee. For the back to the NIH thing, Susan Collins said she's got commitments from RFK to re-examine this policy or re-review this policy once he's confirmed. That indicates that he's sailing to confirmation. If she really wanted to bargain and make sure that these universities in Maine continue to get their funding, why would she back him anyway. Same thing. Bill Cassidy said the same thing. He's still supporting RFK too. There has not been any real action to put a stop to this. There's only rhetoric about saying you're concerned about it.
So it looks like Donald Trump and DOGE is just going to bulldoze their way through whatever it is that they want to do. And so far, no ramifications. Um, Elizabeth Warren is saying you got to fight back in the courts. What's his name? George Conway is saying it's over because even the people the U.S. Marshals who would take people into custody if they're breaking the law, that's all under the executive branch. And so right now, no one is going to face any consequences, and we are at a constitutional crisis. Do you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. And like we talked about with Congress is not doing anything, so it's already broken. And what we're seeing now is the courts are starting to crumble too in their ability to enforce these things. The co-equal branches are not behaving in a co-equal manner. They're either deferring to Trump or they're powerless to stop him.
Joe Perticone, thank you for joining. I don't know if you can see into the future, but where do you see this going?
I think this is going to multiply. We've gotten a new story like this every single day about a new topic. Right now, it's the court's authority and NIH and USAID. Tomorrow could be the Department of Education. We have no idea.
Thank you, Joe.
Very uplifting.
Yeah, very uplifting. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.